In this video, I am going to explain you what is break statement and continue statement with respect to the C language. So, break statement is used to leave the loop and to stop the further iteration of the loop even if the condition inside the loop permits the iterations. That is, whenever compiler executes break statement inside the loop, so compiler immediately it stops further iteration of the loop and come out of the loop. Whereas whenever compiler executes the continue statement inside the loop, then compiler will stop further execution of the remaining statements that are present in the loop after the continue statement. So it is not going to execute the statements that are present after the continue statement, but this it is going to do only for that particular iteration. After leaving that particular iteration, it will start with the next iteration of the loop. So the difference between the break and the continue statement is that whenever compiler executes the break statement, it comes immediately out of the loop, whereas when continue statement is executed, it stops the execution of the current iteration only, but it will then start with the next iteration of the loop. So to demonstrate this, let us see this particular program. Over here in this particular program, I simply print the first 10 natural numbers, and before giving the demonstration for the break and the continue, let me print the first 10 natural numbers. So if I execute this, then you can see that over here the first 9 natural numbers are printed. So it will print 10 if I simply put equal to sign over here. So, and now if I execute this again, then it will print the first 10 natural numbers. Now over here, if I put a condition that if the value of I is equals to 5, then execute break. So now if I execute this particular program, then you can see that only first 4 natural numbers are printed, 1 2 3 4. So if you look at the program, then you can see that over here our loop, it remains for the 10 iterations for the value of I from 1 to 10. But because over here inside the loop we have put a condition that if the value of I is equals to 5, then execute break. So when the value of I is equals to 5, so compiler executes this break statement, and as soon as the break statement is executed, compiler comes out of this loop. So compiler comes out of this loop and do not iterate for the value of I from 6 to 10. And it is the reason that this statement is not going to be executed for the value of I from 6 to 10. It is executed only for the value of I from 1 to 4. So with the help of break statement, we are able to come out of this loop for this particular value of I. So you can see we get only the first 4 natural number. So this is the role of break statement, that whenever we want to come out of the loop, then we can execute the break statement, and you can see that as per the condition, the loop should iterate from I equals to 1 to 10, but because of this break, the compiler, it comes out of the loop after the value of I equals to 5. So now suppose if I now replace this break with continue, and now if I again execute this program, then you can see that this time it prints the numbers, but you can see that 1 2 3 4 is there, but 5 is missing, and it prints the number from 6 to 10 also. So only 5 is missing, all the remaining numbers, they are printed. So now if you look at the code, so over here when the value of I is 1, the condition is false, so this continue is not executed, and so the value of I, that is 1, is printed. In the next iteration, when the value of I is 2, again this is false, so this is not executed, so 2 is printed. Then 3 is also printed, 4 is also printed. Now after 4, when it again, compiler again go back, and when the value of I becomes 5, now when it check this thing, now the condition is true, and since the condition is true, so compiler will go inside this if, and over here it founds continue and it executes this. So when continue is executed, so since the purpose of the continue is that whenever compiler executes the continue, so it will stop the iteration of, or it will stop the execution of the statements after the continue. So this particular printf command will not be executed, and the compiler, after execution of this continue, compiler will go to the next value of I, means next iteration of I, and over there means next iteration means that the value of I becomes 6, and again since this condition is false, so this will not be executed and 6 will be printed, and same will happen for 7, 8, 9 and 10. So it is the reason that only 5 is missing from here, and all the remaining numbers, they are printed. So from here you can conclude that whenever we want to skip the execution of particular iteration, we can use continue, but if we want to stop the execution, or we want to stop the iteration of the loops, further iteration of the loops, then we can use the break statement. So the only difference between the break and the continue is just continue stops that particular iterations during which, in which continue is executed, whereas break stops the execution of the complete loop and the compiler comes out of the loop. So this is all about continue and break statements. So if you have any doubt, you can put it in the chat box, and to do subscribe my channel. So thank you.